Welcome to Communing with Divine, a podcast where I share my spiritual quest and the lessons and the insights that I've received from many divine beings and energies during meditation. I am your host, Meraki. Now, let's begin. Welcome to part 2 of episode 3, The Light Perverted. I'm just going to get straight back into this so as not to lose momentum, especially for people who just listened to the first part. I see a person speaking at a pulpit. This is what the Archangel Uriel is showing me. And this person carries the distortion strongly within him. And as this person is speaking, the distortion is flowing out of this person towards the congregation. The distortion is spreading out and touching the energy fields of the people who are listening. And these people, their defenses are down. Their defenses are down because they're in a holy place. They're in a place they trust and revere. They're in a place that should be only of the light, and so they're really vulnerable. And while the true light of this person who is speaking remains untouched and pure, it is heavily overlaid with the perversion of light, with the distortion. His words captivate the listeners and create opportunities for the tentacles of the light perverted to find the weakness of each person that it can use to try and enter. And so I'm seeing a person who is in the congregation, and I can see this distortion. And as I said, it comes out of the speaker with what you could describe as tentacles. And these tentacles feel around the energy fields, the auras of each person within the congregation. Some people appear resistant to this prodding, but others are not. For the ones who are not resistant, these tentacles attach to them straight away, and they infect, or rather, it would be better to say they impregnate the energy fields of these people. And because these people already believe the speaker to be a representative of the divine, and because they trust him, they're easily infected by this particular manifestation of the light perverted. As I said, it seems that there are those who are more resistant, and I can see the tentacles moving around their energy fields, trying to find a way in, trying to find a weakness, like a fear or a misbelief, a traumatic experience that links to a deep hurt, deep emotion that can open the person up to this speaker's specific brand of the distortion. What word, what idea, what concept, what vision, what would lower the defenses of the listeners to allow the light perverted to enter? What would cause this person, even for a split second, to drop their defenses and to identify with the distortion hiding behind the words of the speaker enough to allow the distortion into their energy field? I'm seeing that as weaknesses and vulnerabilities of those who are resistant are discovered, the tentacles relay that information back to the speaker, who is actually unaware that any of this is happening. This information subconsciously influences the speaker's comments so that they can be modified to become more appealing to the people who are holding out resistance to this particular form of the light perverted. And wow, once it's planted, it gets straight to work and it works fast. It's actually frightening to watch. From here, it's passed on. It goes from those in the congregation who the speaker infected to others who are exposed to this particular distortion through the words and behaviors of those people in that congregation. At its core, the light perverted is the same distortion that has existed since it came into being, but it expresses itself and it presents itself in different ways, through different topics and areas of our experience. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's tailor-made to be more effective. So while it's the same at its core, it tweaks itself so to better appeal and match up to a person's vulnerabilities and life experiences. This allows it to be able to infect and reside within a person in multiple forms and on multiple levels. But at its core, it's all the same distortion. It is the distortion of not respecting the sanctity of the free will of all. It sort of reminds me of a virus. Now, before I go on, major caveat, I have no medical or scientific knowledge, so my descriptions of this may be really, really bad, but it's the only thing that I can think of to explain it. Okay, so I'm going to take what I've been shown and explain it the best way that I can through the virus example that this makes me think of. A virus has its own programming. When it starts out, it may not be very contagious or deadly to humans. But as it has a chance to be around us and learn our vulnerabilities, it can mutate and have multiple forms or multiple variations of the original virus. Some are just inconveniences because our immune system responds well to them despite their constant changing. Some viruses are dangerous and destructive to only some of us, while others can end up being dangerous to a very large percentage of us. But despite the many variations and mutations, they still carry some of the basic code of the original virus. And that's what I'm understanding is sort of the same thing with the Light Perverted. All the mutations and variations hold within them the original distortion, the original and only true sin. And if I'm understanding this correctly, this is the sin of not respecting someone else's free will, of contravening it in order to serve our fears and our ego. The goddess Aletheia is here. She says, "Child, understand, innocence predates this. Innocence predates this. Your soul is your memory. Innocence predates this." Innocence in this sense seems to be a pureness, like a newborn baby, or like unconditional love and forgiveness, kindness and patience, or empathy and compassion. We must respect and honor the divine light of others and of ourselves, because we disrespect and dishonor our own divine light when we act from our ego and from fear, when we try to control others, when we judge and condemn other people as if we are divine justice with the knowledge of all souls and of all things. If we could just stop overriding and abusing the free will we were graced with, then the balance could be restored. But this is up to each and every one of us. No one else can do this for us. No one else can intervene. And with each day that passes, we create a more and more discordant, energetic vibration that perpetuates itself and expands its own effect. This vibration resounds across the universe and is heard and felt by all that exists within it. And this discordant, energetic vibration manifests and attracts like or similar vibrations. And so this is a warning. We must resonate at the vibration of the things we want to manifest and attract. And I do not mean a better job, a better partner, or a new car. I mean nothing less than manifesting or creating the direction of the conscious reality that we are experiencing now, here, in this place. And I will tell you, it really feels to me that time is running out. So we need to get it together individually and collectively and stop allowing our ego and our fears to direct us and to rule us. Or we will have no other choice but to see out the manifestations of the energetic vibration that we have created and crafted over generations as a species. Now, before I go any further, I want to make some clarifications about this session that I just shared. In that session, I was shown a speaker in a religious setting. It was made clear that it could have been in many different types of settings. Any belief system of any kind that requires unquestioning and blind acceptance of its creed, ideology, and that expects loyalty without question. But I believe that it was shown to me in this way because many of us are so vulnerable in a place that we consider to be divine and holy. We trust, and often we trust completely. Now, I explained about how the Light Perverted within this speaker sent out tentacles to search for areas of vulnerability. And if the areas were found, then they were used as access points into the person's energetic field to infect them. And I also said that if a person was resistant, then these tentacles would search for vulnerabilities by reading a person's energetic field because it is filled with information. And then the tentacles would relay that information back to the active source, who in this case was the speaker. This information would subconsciously guide the speaker to modify their approach in order to be more effective. So why am I repeating all of this? Because it's important to understand that this energy is intelligent. It is intelligent, and its goal is not just self-preservation. Its goal is to perpetuate itself and ensure its survival in perpetuity. And with each person it infects, and each variation with which it infects us, it gains more strength. We feed it and we give it strength, and we provide it with all that it needs to know about us so it can continue to evolve and maintain itself through us and because of us. As far as I can see, none of us escape the grasp of the light perverted because we've grown up with it and been surrounded by it. We grow up immersed in it. We've all been hurt by it, and we all carry pain and the fear that it has caused us. The answer to the question as to why the light perverted is so effective is that the light perverted knows how to perfectly align itself with the damage within us that it has caused us. But instead of shielding ourselves from it, we embrace it, because it presents itself as a solution to our pain and to our fears, to the pain and to the fears that it itself caused us. Cleverly, the light perverted seems to be most successful when it aligns itself with the damage within us, the damage it caused, promising relief and protection from the fear or superficial healing from the pain. Our fear and our pain are vulnerabilities that, if stimulated correctly, can be used as a point of entry for the distortion to enter and take up residency once again in a different form. Once this happens and the distortion has entered, it begins to weave specific tailor-made thoughts and feelings that speak specifically to that individual and also to the group that they associate themselves with. So people carry their own personalized distortion as well as the distortion of the various groups they associate themselves with. Groups provide peer pressure to remain within the same vibratory range, or risk ridicule, rejection, expulsion. All of these things are expressions of fear. All of this makes the light perverted very powerful and very successful in its ability to infect, spread, and grow in strength and influence. The more pious or authoritative the mask it can wear, the more effective it is. We question it less. We accept it more easily. The more the light perverted can present itself as quote-unquote light and hide behind it as a shield that blinds us to its true nature, the more effective it becomes, and the faster it can spread with the least amount of work and effort. The appetite of the light perverted is insatiable, which is why it tries to seep into every aspect of our lives. It's an insidious abomination. In my opinion, one way to spot the light perverted would be that if a message or an ideology sounds as if it is of the light, but brings people together in order to divide, if it points out differences in a negative way and not in a celebratory way, if it creates a you versus me or an us versus them, then it's probably not of the light. It is probably the light perverted. The danger of this cannot be understated, because once a person or a group of people have been turned into a them, they are no longer us. And when that happens, we are no longer one. We become separate. We become different in a negative way, in a way that can be used divisively and destructively, justified by petty differences between the us and the them. The we are different in a good and special way. The them are different in a lesser and a bad way, because they are not as perfect or as special as we. We are justified, therefore, in denying them their free will. Our free will supersedes theirs, because we are better and we are righteous and they are not. Therefore, they have no right to free will or self-determination, and that's how that works. Anything that serves the ego, like a leader of a group who deems themselves more worthy than others. Any belief that states that one group of people are godlier or divinely chosen in some way that makes them better or more deserving than the rest of humanity. Any belief system that sanctions violence or abuse against others, and this includes abuse within families, is, to my mind, the light perverted. Anything like the examples I just gave carries within it the seed of the original distortion or the original sin that did not respect and honor the divine gift of free will for all. Denying others the right to fully exercise their free will directly contravened what the gift of free will was for, what its original purpose was. This unbridled ego we carry that speaks duplicitously is a tool of the light perverted, and this tool has been very effective because we have embraced it with unquestioning enthusiasm and we have protected it with single-minded devotion. Babies are the closest thing we have on earth to purity, and children are often so innocent. The effects of the light perverted are usually not deeply embedded in them. Their innocence should serve as a reminder and give us hope. And if we can remember that, we can become aware. If we can become aware, we can begin to make choices and act in ways that starve the light perverted. We can change our thinking, our belief systems, and our behavior in ways that starve it of its energy, our energy, that it needs to sustain itself, and it will begin to weaken. Things to keep in mind are that free will is what allowed us to be creators and to have the control to guide our program where we wanted it to go. It's a gift that we misused and misapplied. We need to starve the light perverted by cutting off the energy that sustains it. And how do we do this? Well, we ask for forgiveness and we extend forgiveness to others, whether they seek it or not. Empathy, compassion, unconditional love, these are all powerful tools that we can use. Awareness is one of the shields that protects you. Beware of the ego. It is the mouthpiece of the light perverted. See all creation in its truth as unique divine expressions of the One. This is your inoculation against current and future exposure to the distortion. Everyone is susceptible to the distortion of the light perverted. None of us are immune. The important part is to identify it. Your inner guidance system will help. As subtle as your discomfort is, pay attention to it. It's your compass when trying to navigate away from the distortion of the light perverted. The minute you think a thought, see an image or a mini movie in your mind's eye, or feel an emotion that is not of love, but is of anger, hatred, vindictiveness, or any hurtful or low vibrating emotion, stop. See it, identify it, and then follow its trail to find its root cause, the root cause that lies within you and makes you vulnerable to the light perverted. Often it's a childhood trauma, but not always. It's just that as children, we were so innocent, vulnerable, and confused by all the madness around us. But work on it. Try and find the root cause or the root feeling and work on it. Work with it. Understand it. Often it will mask itself as a tool of self-protection, so disarm it. If you need to address it directly, you could tell it that you don't need to think badly of others in order to think good things about yourself. You don't need to hurt others or embarrass them, or whatever form it presents. You don't need to do those things in order for you to feel safe worthy, loved, important. Fill in the blank. Because this is one of the way it works, and it's a very effective approach. Because it's internal, it's hidden, and it's subtle. It becomes such a part of our daily thoughts that we don't even realize it's there, shaping our thoughts, our ideas, our opinions. And with that, it also shapes our emotions. And this creates a powerful combination. Thought plus emotion creates tremendous energy. And this is all being done sort of under the hood, so to speak. So become aware of it, catch it, address it, release it. If this method doesn't work for you, find one that does. But do whatever you can to release yourself. Because individually and as a human race, we cannot afford to sustain the light perverted any longer. Now, I'd like to break away from my session and read an excerpt from a book. The book is called A Knowing, Living with Psychic Children, and this is from the end of chapter 6. This whole concept of good and evil and the reality of our experience in the third dimension was something that confused me quite a bit. People would often say that evil did not exist or that what we were experiencing here was not real somehow. I would look around me and see acts of cruelty or apathy that I would consider evil. I would see great suffering and great joy and love and feel that it was all pretty real. So when people would say, don't worry about it, evil doesn't really exist, or this isn't really happening anyway, it bothered me. I could accept it on a theoretical level, but I could not get my head around it on a practical one, which caused me a good bit of confusion and conflict. For those of you who have had difficulty understanding or coming to terms with this concept, I offer this simple theory and explanation. There is an ultimate point of true reality or true existence, which is what we refer to as God or the Source or the All. And there, in this place of being, neither evil nor good exist because there is no emotion. It is a state that is beyond emotion. It is the purest form of being or of existence. I am. I exist. But within our experience here, we accept, create, and perpetuate the emotions of good/love and evil/fear. We cannot imagine life or a consciousness existing without them, and so we cause them to exist, and they feel real to us. Our consciousness is chosen or has been sent to create and participate in this reality. We have chosen to immerse ourselves in this experience, and so it is, for the time being, very real, regardless of the ultimate point of true reality. In order to understand this, we must understand that true existence is not quote-unquote good or evil. It just is. And the energy of what is permeates and animates everything. We take this energy and we choose what to do with it. So we create good and evil. In our reality, in our dimension, and in many others, these things do exist. But in terms of the ultimate point of true existence, neither exists. Only existence exists. It just is. We come here to learn, among other things, how to use the energy of the Source. And the closest thing we have to using and expressing this energy in a perfect manner is love. So we must strive to express love in all that we do and to create from a position of love at all times. This is a great challenge in such a dense dimension, but we accepted this challenge by coming here, and we must rise to it as best we can in hopes that we can succeed. Evil is something that we must take responsibility for as a collective life form or as a species. We are creative beings. The Source gives and we create. We must try our hardest to create a positive experience for ourselves and for others, and to understand that in the end, there is nothing to fear. In order to raise ourselves up, we must learn to release the fear that others have passed on to us over the years. And we must also learn to deflect the fear that others wish to draw us into and immerse our consciousness in. This is a difficult concept to understand, and it's an even more difficult lesson to put into practice. I think that because of this, there are many levels of learning and of growing. some physical and some less so, that allow us to gain more insight, experience, and perspective, and allows us the opportunity to learn to use the energy properly until we are able to fully merge our consciousness, our inner light, with the true existence that is the all. So that's the end of that section of the book, but I thought it was insightful, and I hope that you all find it helpful. So again, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm so glad you joined me for this second part, and I hope you found it interesting. I hope that it provided you with some food for thought, and that I hope you all join me for the next episode so we can keep exploring and learning together. Thanks very much, and have a great day.